Welcome, future thinker. If you haven't already, hit subscribe and tap the bell so you never miss an episode. Let's dive straight into today's idea. Close your eyes, unless you were driving, and picture a gentle sunrise spilling molten gold over a meadow still jeweled with dew. Each blade of grass bends, refracts the light, then straightens in quiet resilience. Your body is built from similar strands of resilience, but only when every micronutrient photon you need is on hand. Tiny gaps in that spectrum, silent vitamin deficiencies, can dim the sunrise inside you long before blood work waves a red flag. We will unmask those hidden gaps, map subtle symptoms, cross-check them against the best peer-reviewed data, and craft a ritual that restores your inner light. We'll focus on 3 star players: vitamin D, vitamin B12, and the lesser-known but mighty vitamin K₂. By the end, you will know exactly what to ask your doctor, what to track at home, and how to weave ancestral food wisdom with modern lab precision. First, the landscape. Globally, more than 1 billion people are estimated to be vitamin D deficient, and those numbers rise sharply the farther you live from the equator. Meanwhile, B12 insufficiency affects up to 20% of adults over 50, quietly eroding nerve insulation and cognitive speed. If that weren't enough, low K2 keeps calcium wandering into arteries instead of bones, raising cardiovascular risk. The kicker? Many physicians still test only calcium, iron, and maybe vitamin D, leaving these other threads unmeasured. Let's step into the sunlight, literally. Vitamin D is not just a vitamin. It behaves like a hormone, switching on over 200 genes, many linked to immunity and mood. Your skin prints the first draft of this molecule when ultraviolet B photons strike cholesterol. The darker your complexion, the more melanin you carry, the stronger the natural sunscreen, and the more sun you need to trigger the same synthesis. Modern indoor life, sunscreen marketing, and northern winters combine to knock that synthesis offline. Early whispers of low D resemble ordinary life, mid-afternoon yawns, winter blues, and slower muscle recovery. But chronic deficits raise respiratory infection rates, fracture risk, even depression. Now zoom into the nervous system, where vitamin B12 outfits every nerve fiber in a silky myelin cloak. Without enough B12, electrical signals skid, producing numb fingers, brain fog, or that eerie sensation of pins and needles for no reason. Contrary to popular memes, B12 is not just for vegans. Yes, plants lack it, but omnivores can still slide into deficiency when stomach acid, intrinsic factor, or gut health break down. Long-term use of acid-suppressing drugs or metformin blocks absorption. So do Helicobacter infection or celiac disease. Your best first-line test is methylmalonic acid plus homocysteine. Both rise earlier than serum B12 does. Enter vitamin K2, the under-tweeted hero. If vitamin D tells your intestines to absorb calcium, K2 is the traffic cop redirecting that calcium to bone while waving it away from arteries and kidneys. Fermented foods like natto or aged Gouda can supply it, but Western diets rarely feature them daily. The result is a paradox. People taking high-dose vitamin D, yet still suffering arterial calcification because the mineral never received its final escort. How do you spot these gaps before a crisis? Watch for patterns: hairline fractures after minor falls, constant gum bleeding, cold hands even in warm rooms, or a sadness that descends every February without obvious cause. A diary that pairs subjective mood, energy, and sleep quality with weather and diet can reveal repeating shadows. Science time. Ask for a 25-hydroxy-D test, aiming for 70 to 90 nanograms per milliliter, not merely the clinical minimum of 30. Order methylmalonic acid for B12 and undercarboxylated osteocalcin for K2 status. If your doctor balks, bring PubMed papers. Medicine catches up faster when you provide the map. Run these labs twice a year. Once in late winter when sunlight sinks, and once in late summer after your solar recharge. Outside the clinic, borrow from ancestors. They chased the sun at dawn and dusk, harvested liver, shellfish, and fermented veggies, and walked barefoot, grounding stress hormones while stimulating blood flow. You don't need a time machine. You need micro-rituals. For example, schedule a 10-minute light snack on your calendar. Step outside mid-morning, roll up sleeves, expose forearms and face to natural light without sunglasses. Your circadian rhythm and vitamin D factory both clock in. On the plate, think rainbow plus relic. The rainbow is your plant matrix. Leafy greens provide magnesium that helps convert vitamin D to its active form. The relics are traditional nutrient-dense foods: salmon belly, pastured egg yolks, and lightly sautéed chicken liver. If liver sounds medieval, hide it. Blend 30 grams into a chili or meatball mix once a week and your B12 quota sings. For K2, introduce a thumbnail of aged cheese or a teaspoon of natto every day. Microbes did the fermentation, so you don't have to. Supplement safety. Supplements can fill cracks but cannot build foundations. Yet when blood work screams for help, use targeted doses. A maintenance stack might look like 2,000 IUs of D3 with 200 micrograms of K2 Mark 7 taken at breakfast. Fat helps absorption. Vegans or over 50s could add 1,000 micrograms of methylcobalamin B12 weekly, sublingual or injectable under guidance. Avoid megadoses unless supervised. Fat-soluble vitamins store up and can tilt into toxicity. Let's stitch it together in one day. Morning, hydrate, step outside, 10 deep breaths of crisp light. Breakfast, Greek yogurt, swirl with pumpkin seeds, berries, and a drizzle of raw honey, plus your D3 and K2 capsule. Midday, desk stretch, 3 minutes of sunlight, stand on one leg to spark proprioception. Lunch, kale and quinoa salad crowned with salmon belly, sprinkle sesame for extra magnesium. Afternoon slump, brew rooibos with turmeric. They synergize with vitamin D to calm inflammation. Dinner, slow-cooked chili, spiked with stealth liver, side of fermented carrots, mindfulness gratitude roundtable. 30 minutes before bed, blue light blockers, 5 pages of fiction, jot tomorrow's sunlight plan. Long-term tracking. Sustainable change blooms from feedback loops. Set a 6-month reminder titled, quote, "Check the light within." Redo labs, compare numbers, but more importantly, compare lived feeling. How quick is your mental reboot after a tough meeting? Can you bound upstairs without railing help? Does winter still feel gray or merely cool? Numbers guide, but embodiment decides. Pause with me one more time. Breathe in through the nose. Feel the chest expand like that sunrise meadow. Breathe out and imagine each molecule of vitality pouring into the spaces once dimmed by deficiency. You are not chasing perfection. You are restoring design specifications written in your DNA over millennia. Every ray of sun absorbed, every ancestral bite enjoyed, every lab result studied turns the dimmer switch clockwise. Tiny actions, giant light. Thanks for staying to the end. Like, subscribe, and share if this sparked new insight. Think deeper, act brighter.